By the mid 1720s, his influence stretched from Mumbai to Vengula. No European navy dares to sail freely here. To them, the Arabian Sea has become hostile territory. To him, it's home. Hi everyone, welcome to Quiet Curiosities, Beyond the History Textbooks, a podcast where we dive deep into India's untold stories across various genres. My name is Soumya Srivastava and I'm your host for this podcast. Imagine this. You're sailing the Arabian Sea in the early 1700s. The air is thick with salt and wind. The horizon never sits still. Across the waters, the great European powers, Britain, Portugal, and the Dutch, are clawing at India's coastline, desperate to claim it piece by piece. And yet, amid their cannons and colonies, one man quietly begins to change the tides. He wasn't born to royalty, he doesn't sit on a throne, but soon his name will echo through every naval command post from London to Lisbon, spoken with a mix of frustration and, well, reluctant respect. He begins as a boy from the rugged Konkan coast, born around 1669 near Suvarnadurg fort in now what is known as Maharashtra. From his village, he watches ships drift across the horizon and learns a truth very early on. Whoever commands the sea commands the land. By the time he grows into a man, the great Maratha Empire, built by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, is buckling under Aurangzeb's endless wars. The empire's eyes are fixed inland, but out on the waves, something new is taking shape. This young man doesn't seize land, he seizes the sea. He rises swiftly through the ranks of the Maratha Navy, a daring creation of Shivaji's meant to defeat the coast from the European intrusion. And when his superiors falter, he doesn't wait. He takes charge of key forts, Kolaba, Suvarnadurg, Vijayadurg, and transforms them into the backbone of a powerful coastal defense. He builds dry docks way before the world even begins to understand their importance. He trains fishermen, the coolies, the bhandaris, into sharp, disciplined sailors. And he crafts small, agile ships from Indian teak, Gallivets, and Gurabs that dart across the waves faster than the lumbering European galleons ever could. In the narrow inlets of the Konkan coast, his fleet becomes a phantom post. They strike without warning, vanish into the mist, and reappear before the enemy even could react. Soon, every ship crossing his waters must pay for safe passage. Those who refuse are boarded, looted, or sunk. To the British East India Company, he's a pirate. But pirates don't build dockyards. Pirates don't issue naval commissions. And pirates certainly do not sign treaties with empires. Well, guess what? He did all three. He trades gunpowder for peace with the Portuguese. He grants Dutch merchants safe passage on his terms. And with the British, he plays a clever, dangerous game, making truces where it benefits him, breaking them when they cross a line. Even the Peshwas in Pune, his own superiors, struggle to control him. They need his fleet to protect the coast, and he knows it. So, he demands autonomy, and well, they grant it. He isn't just a warrior, he's a strategist, a negotiator, a ruler of the sea. In 1721, the British and the Dutch united to crush him. 20 warships descended on the Colaba fort. By all accounts, it should have been the end for him. But he meets them head on, with smaller ships, sharper tactics, and shore batteries that render their massive cannons useless. When the battle smoke clears, it's the invaders who retreat, defeated and humiliated. By the mid 1720s, his influence stretched from Mumbai to Vengula. No European navy dares to sail freely here. To them, the Arabian Sea has become hostile territory. To him, it's home. Kanoji Angre, India's first great naval commander, a man who ruled not with armies or empires, but with audacity. He sadly died in 1729 at the Colaba fort. Not defeated, but undefeated. After his death, internal rivalries among his own sons fractured the unity he had built. and the British Peshwa alliance slowly dismantled his own legacy. But for nearly 40 years, Kanoji Angre did the unthinkable. He kept the Arabian Sea under Indian command. He didn't fight for conquest, he fought for control. He wasn't chasing treasure, he was defending sovereignty. He turned creeks into choke points, forts into fortresses, and the sea into a battlefield. The British called him a pirate, but history knows better. Kanoji Angre was the storm they never saw coming. Well, that's it for me from this episode. For more such history tidbits, keep following us here, and I'll see you at the next episode on Quiet Curiosities.